In this video, I will explain wave propagation characteristics in good dielectrics. Wave propagation characteristics in good dielectrics. In good dielectrics. Consider Maxwell's equation. Consider Maxwell's equations. Del cross E bar is equal to minus dou B by dou T. B is equal to mu H minus mu dou H bar by dou T. Dou H bar by dou T. Take curl of the above equation. Take curl of the above equation. Del cross E bar is equal to minus mu del cross dou H by dou T. That is equal to minus mu dou by dou T del cross H bar. Minus mu, that is equal to minus mu dou by dou T del cross H is equal to J bar plus dou D bar by dou T. That is equal to minus mu dou by dou T. J is a sigma E bar. D is a sigma epsilon E bar. Therefore, epsilon dou E bar by dou T. This one is curl of del cross E. Del cross E. Identity, apply identity here. Del of del dot E minus del square E minus rho minus mu dou E by dou T sigma E bar plus minus epsilon mu dou square E bar by dou T square. Rewrite this above equation. Del square E is equal to del of del dot here E is equal to del dot E plus mu sigma dou E bar by dou T plus mu epsilon dou square E bar by dou T square, dou square E bar by dou T square. Consider phasor form. Consider wave equation. In phasor form, E bar is equal to here del dot D bar is equal to rho V. Del dot D bar is epsilon E bar is equal to rho V. Del dot E bar is equal to rho V by epsilon. In case of good dielectrics, rho V is equal to 0. That is 0. Substitute here. Del square E is equal to here this value is 0. Mu epsilon dou square E bar by dou T square mu sigma dou E bar by dou T. In phasor form, equation, consider this above equation in phasor form. E bar is equal to a real term of e power e into e power j omega t. Find out dou square e bar by dou t square, that is equal to dou by dou t, dou by dou t of e bar, dou by dou t. Dou by dou t of e bar is real of e into dou by dou t of e power j omega t. That is equal to dou by dou t real of e j omega e power j omega t. That is equal to real of e j omega dou by dou t of e power j omega t. That is equal to real of e power e into j omega d by dt of e power j omega t e power j omega t. That is equal to real of e j omega square e power j omega t. J omega square is bring outside. Real of e into e power j omega t, that is e bar. That is e bar. Here dou e by dou t is dou e by dou t is here. This is the dou by dou t. That is j omega e bar. J omega dou e bar by dou t is j omega e bar. Therefore, finally substitute del square E is equal to del square E is equal to mu epsilon dou square E by dou t square is, that is mu epsilon j omega whole square E bar plus mu sigma j omega E bar, that is dou E bar by dou t. This one is minus omega square mu epsilon E bar plus j omega mu epsilon E bar. Epsilon E bar. After that, this one is written as j omega mu epsilon E bar minus omega square mu epsilon E bar. J mu omega sigma. Here a minus sign here there. We need one j into j square minus 1 j omega epsilon. J omega epsilon. This one is here E bar is also there. Gamma square E bar. Del square E bar is equal to gamma square E bar. Consider gamma square j mu omega sigma plus j omega epsilon. This is the propagation constant of the waveform. Next, attenuation constant alpha is equal to, we know that omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 square root of 1 plus sigma square mu square epsilon square minus 1 like. In case of a good dielectric, A good dielectric is the one that has conductivity sigma less than omega epsilon. Therefore, by using this term, by using a binomial expansion, expanding here, consider this term 1 plus sigma square omega square epsilon square whole power 1 by 2 expanding by binomial series. Higher order terms can be neglected. Higher order terms can be neglected. Therefore, the square root of 1 plus sigma square omega square epsilon square is equal to 1 plus sigma square omega square epsilon square whole power 1 by 2 is equal to approximately equal to 1 plus 1 by 2 sigma square omega square epsilon square. Therefore, in that alpha, square root of 1 plus sigma square omega square epsilon square is replaced with this term. Therefore, alpha is equal to omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 square root of 1 plus sigma square by omega square epsilon square is replaced with this term 1 plus 1 by 2 sigma square omega square epsilon square. One more term is there, that is minus 1. Minus 1 and my plus 1 is cancelled. That is equal to mu omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 sigma square 2 omega square epsilon square. That is sigma square root sigma square by omega square is omega sigma by omega. Epsilon one time cancel. That is mu by epsilon. 2 here to bring outside. Omega is cancelled. Finally, alpha is equal to sigma by 2 mu by epsilon. Attenuation of the wave totally depends on conductivity of the media sigma. Conductivity of the sigma. If the conduct sigma is more value, attenuation is more. If sigma is less value, attenuation is less. Next, consider phase shift constant. The phase shift constant. The phase shift constant beta is given by beta is equal to omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 square root of 1 plus sigma square mu square epsilon square minus 1. Again, that minus 1 is not minus 1, plus 1. Omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 square root of 1 plus sigma square by mu square epsilon square is written as 1 plus sigma square 2 omega square epsilon square plus 1. That is equal to omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 plus sigma square 2 omega square epsilon square. That is equal to omega square root of mu epsilon by 2 2 is the term bring outside. 1 plus sigma square 4 omega square epsilon square. This 2 to cancel. Mu square root of mu epsilon and the square root of 1 plus sigma square 4 omega square epsilon square. That is equal to mu w omega square root of mu epsilon. Apply binomial expansion. Higher order terms can be neglected. Therefore, 1 plus sigma square 1 by 2. 8 omega square epsilon square. This is the beta value. Next one is group velocity of propagation is velocity of propagation. Velocity of propagation is velocity of propagation is v is equal to omega by beta. Here, this one is beta. Omega by beta is equal to this one is beta. Omega by beta from this expression that is equal to 1 by square root of mu epsilon 1 plus sigma square 8 omega square epsilon square. That is equal to this one is group velocity 1 by square root of mu epsilon. This term can be written as 1 by sigma square 8 omega square 8 omega square epsilon square minus 1 that is equal to 1 by square root of mu epsilon 1 minus sigma square. Apply binomial expansion, series expansion. Sigma square by 8 omega square epsilon square. This is the velocity. The velocity of propagation is next intrinsic impedance. Intrinsic or characteristic impedance of general media. Characteristic impedance of general medium eta, that is equal to eta is equal to square root of j omega mu by sigma plus j omega epsilon. J omega mu by j omega epsilon, that is equal to 1 by 1 plus sigma by j omega epsilon. This j omega epsilon is bring outside, therefore the entire term is like that. That is equal to omega j omega is cancelled, that is mu by epsilon square root of mu by epsilon. Square root of mu by epsilon and 1 by square root of 1 plus sigma by j omega epsilon. J omega epsilon, that is equal to square root of mu by epsilon 1 by 1 plus sigma by this one is sigma by 2j omega epsilon. 2j omega by epsilon. that is equal to mu by epsilon 1 by 1 minus here j and j is multiplied here. Multiply numerator and denominator j into j square. J sigma by 2 omega epsilon. 2 omega epsilon. Therefore, that is equal to square root of mu epsilon 1 minus j sigma by 2 omega epsilon minus 1. Apply binomial series, that is minus 1 minus into minus plus j sigma by 2 omega epsilon. This is the intrinsic impedance of the wave in dielectric media. The total analysis is completed.